Our final reader this evening is a Chicago playwright and fiction writer. Her play, Atomic Honeymoon, was performed at the Conservatory, and she is a network playwright at Chicago Dramatists. She was the recipient of a Ragdale residency in playwriting, and her short fiction has appeared in Hair Trigger and Hypertext. Her memoir, Night Games, appears in the anthology Cubby Blues, 100 Years of Waiting Till Next Year. She co-hosts the Chicago Way reading series and is a board member of Second Story. We're very pleased to welcome Mary Beth Hoerner.
You know, I was wondering if there would be any connection between the other writers and me, or the other stories and me, and sadly there is, because the part of my bio that I always leave out because it's so shameful is that I work for Cook County. So I'm actually going to the morgue in a couple of weeks. But I'm very glad that you had a good experience with it. So. The story is called My Tragic Flaws. First, let me tell you how little and skinny Kim was. In gym, she was the one waving at the top of the pyramid, while I was the one pulsing on all fours with the red face. And I could wrap my thumb and forefinger around her wrist, but I couldn't do that to my own, which she said proved I was fat, like I didn't own a mirror. The thing was, Kim had 8 girls in her family and I had 7, which I thought bonded us like war buddies, friends for life, because there's just no explaining that particular experience to anyone else. So me and my girlfriends decided one day we would write each other notes telling what we didn't like about each other. After we had time to think about it, though, we realized it was a terrible idea and would only end up hurting people's feelings and causing wars, which we were constantly in anyway. Somehow word didn't get back to Kim that we scrapped the idea. And one day when we got into school, we all had little notes in our desks from Kim telling us all kinds of untrue and toxic things about ourselves. Like she had stayed awake for a week straight thinking about how evil we all were. And it was high time we knew so we could be better people, thanks to her, God Almighty. I'm jamming my brown bag lunch that stinks of tuna, even though Mom knows I hate it, into my desk, and I see the white piece of paper folded up all pretty like origami, and I see my initials on it, ARW, in all capitals in Kim's perfect bubble handwriting. My first thought before even opening it was, Kim's dead, because I knew my other friends were not nearly as understanding as I was. Maybe that's why I felt like I was the leader of the group, mainly because I wasn't spoiled like Rita. I didn't whine like Mary Therese, and Lynn lived too far from school, so that kept her popularity down, because who wants to walk that far? The girls elbowed each other to sit next to me in assembly was a mystery I attributed to mainly one thing, having 6 cool older sisters. The outside of the note said ARW, and already that annoyed me because I didn't remember telling her my middle initial, because it's Ryan, a weird family name. As I quickly and repeatedly read the note, her words echoed in my ears with the Chinese gong, and they still do to this day. ARW, you're too proud. Honestly, I didn't know what it meant. It was so vague. What was I proud of? Having fewer sisters than her? Being fatter? I thought maybe she accidentally put my initials on the wrong message. Maybe my message actually said something like, you reek during gym, which made sense as I had planned on using it on any one of my friends. Just when I was about to ask her, was this a mistake, the bell rang. We scrambled to our seats. I tried to catch her eye, and while everyone else was fixed on the flag, hands on their hearts, chanting the pledge in their most monotonous voices, Kim turned toward me and mouthed with her little tiny lips, you're too proud. I swallowed hard, clapping my hand over to my heart to try to catch up with the pledge, but my rhythm was off. From then on, I started to catch myself feeling proud. At Kim's birthday party, for example. Kim had cast her net far and wide, extending tough love notes to kids beyond our little group, so the party was tense. We sat cross-legged on the cold, hard basement floor, circled around Kim, who was propped up on a purple velvet pillow so her subjects could obediently watch her open her pyramid of presents. She had one of those faces that if you isolated each feature, Small blue eyes, sharp little nose, pointless lips. Everything was fine. But when assembled together, something was off. Maybe it was too much forehead, like a balding man's, or a scary, old-fashioned doll's. "I'm ready now. I am opening," she proclaimed from on high. From Lynn, she got just a card, which could have been okay because money is always safe. Almost always. Kim opened the card and dangled an old, wrinkly $1 bill. While everyone gulped and stared at the lonely bill, all I could think about was how superior my gift was. A spy kit with invisible ink and infrared goggles. In my mind, a chorus of Kim's voice saying, "ARW, you're too proud." Yeah. Kim manipulated each gift carefully, then graced the gift giver with a fleeting moment of acknowledgement. I did not look her in the eyes. I never did, because I knew she was just waiting to mouth those words again. When she got to my present, I dashed to the bathroom so I wouldn't be sucked into her gaze. As I was about to leave the bathroom, I looked in the mirror to make sure I didn't have wads of brown chocolate cake fermenting between my teeth, and I didn't. In fact, my teeth looked almost straight and less yellow than I remembered. My black bangs were the right length for a change, and my second chin was more like 1.5. I put my hands over my ears so I wouldn't hear her in my head, but I did. I forced myself to note the things that I was not proud of. Hazel eyes, peach fuzz, the frizzies. That didn't silence her. Nothing would. Pretty soon after that, all the kids got picked up, but not me. As I was the youngest in my family, my parents forgot I existed with regularity. There I was, left stranded in the Schmidt's untouchable living room with Kim's mother, Laverne. As I looked at Laverne, I prayed to God that I never ended up with mom hair. Laverne's was blinding white, even when her kids were younger, so she always looked about 20 years older than it turned out she was. She styled it in a hairdo, short but bubbled out and strapped in place with an invisible hairnet. Although Kim was recently intimidating, Laverne had always been. First of all, her name. It was exotic, having a G in it for no reason. Plus, she was as tall as a man. She also had her own column in the Lifestyles newspaper. The column was long and skinny with her picture next to her name, but chunks of her bubble hair got cropped out of the picture, leaving her with a buzz cut. It was called Ask Laverne, and there she was sitting on a mint green crushed velvet sofa right across from me, and I could have asked her anything, but I didn't have the nerve. I wanted to ask her if she liked her husband, Mr. Schmidt, because she had a fancy job and he ran a gas station and dressed like someone she would never say hello to, with streaks of grease on his gray jumpsuit and even on his hands. I wanted to ask her if she ever heard of birth control, because that's what people always ask my mom. Like, were all these kids accidents, or were you just trying for a boy? Laverne looked at her solid gold watch as she gave me the 20 questions. Who was picking you up? Did they know the time? Did they think you were getting a ride with someone else? Does this happen often? I knew if I answered truthfully, I'd end up in her column. So once I lied about that, saying, no, they're never late. This has never happened before. I just had to keep going with it. The lies were coming naturally to me and made her stop talking. But then it was too quiet. I smiled. She didn't smile back. I fake coughed. She expressed no concern for my health. I made sure my knees weren't spread eagle. She scowled at her watch and stood up perfectly still, a giant, unmeltable iceberg. My mom had a baby, I said. That's why she's late. Laverne scrunched her eyebrows. Mom was in her late 40s, but I think it was still possible. Laverne said, a baby? Well, I didn't even know she was... Last night, I said. Last night? What? A boy. Laverne slapped her hand to her chest, and I thought for a second I would send her to her grave. I wasn't trying to. I was just passing time, so I said the most unproud thing I could think of, having a brother. She started pacing, saying, a boy, a boy. Then she marched to the front door and stared. So your father's picking you up, she said. He must be ecstatic. No, I said, he wanted another girl, but it wasn't God's will. Whenever anything bad happened, that's what was said. Like when my cousin Andy was born missing a piece of his brain, everyone said it was God's will. And I pictured God doing a jigsaw puzzle of each kid that was brought into the world. And I thought it seemed mean that the one piece of Andy's brain he kept, maybe put in his pocket. Did he have pockets full of tricks he played on kids? Or maybe the piece just fell on the floor and he didn't see it because it was stuck under his big shoe. Just an accident. But that didn't make me feel much better about God. My mom's picking me up, I said, not my dad. Your mom, she screamed, and it wasn't until then that I realized I might be found out. Just in time to hear me spew lies, Kim appeared wearing the red goggles like she didn't know they were for darkness or nighttime. Now she would have something to write about. ARW, you're disrespectful to parents. ARW, you lie like a rug. ARW, you'll burn with Judas. But she didn't join us. She just walked through the living room like a child zombie, like the glasses were leading her to a giant altar in the jungle. I heard the car door slam, then Mom's click-click high-heel footsteps. The thing I did not hear was a baby crying. There was no mistaking that she was not carrying a newborn baby infant. Laverne threw open the door. Joan, sit down. She sat herself down and patted the spot where she wanted Mom's butt to go. She zoned in on Mom's boobs and torso, looking for signs of recent baby. To my good fortune, Mom was well endowed, so nothing could be ruled out. Mom caught the weird vibe and said, I don't want to keep you. But Laverne said, no, I insist. So Mom sat down. I closed my eyes. Dear God and Jesus, I promise not to be proud, to never lie, and to not ask for anything for a year, if you can please help me. How are the girls? Mom asked. How's the boy? You had a boy. Laverne sounded borderline hysterical, but with a hint of sadness. Mom just tilted her head. Tommy! I heard about little Tommy! He wasn't so little, was he? 13 pounds. Proud Papa must be ecstatic. Mom still didn't say anything. To bide time, she checked her recently sharpened fingernails. At this point in my life, she didn't know how much I lied. I was just starting to know. She looked at Laverne like she must be drunk, and her eyes roamed from the grandfather clock to the piano to the curio cabinet, looking for an open bottle of booze. And I had a feeling that when we left, Laverne would drink. Laverne was patient with Mom, probably thinking she was still woozy from the birth of Tommy. Then she spelled it out for her. Annie here was just telling me you had a boy, and I didn't even know you were expecting. Me, the reporter. You're looking well under the circumstances. Except for the fact that she wears her hair in a bun, Mom is pretty cool. You can't ruffle her feathers, especially in public. Still, she was wearing her stern church eyes. She couldn't very well keep the lie going on my behalf, because sooner or later she'd have to produce a Tommy. But if she said it was a big fat lie, that would be shameful to her. To have a kid who was pure evil making up lies all day for no reason. Kim staggered in and stopped right in front of me after waving to Mom like a robot. Laverne said in a super fake happy voice, Kimmy, did you know about Annie's new brother? The question cracked in her throat. Why did you hide it from me? I looked at Kim but couldn't tell what she was thinking because of her sci-fi eyes. Kim didn't mouth anything. I was wrestling with worse problems anyway than being too proud. She said, a brother? And hugged her stomach like the idea was sickening to her. And she turned towards her mom. Are we getting a brother? Don't be stupid, Laverne said, putting an end to my question about the nature of her parents' relationship. Kim looked me up and down with the goggles like she had x-ray vision. I felt worse than nude. Then she scoped her eyes down to my belly like she had heard a beep, confirming that that was where my soul resided. We had just learned about how the devil gets bonus points if he converts someone who was extra good. Like poor Adam and Eve, all they wanted was to eat an apple. The only way I would have said no to the apple is if he offered me something better. Still, I had believed I was a good one. Why would you want to live if you didn't believe that about yourself? Actually, Laverne, Mom said, Annie was just playing with you. You know, kids and their imaginations. There's no Tommy. Laverne stood up and looked down at Mom. So you don't have a son? Mom shook her head. I thought it was unusual, Laverne said, and to be up and about after just delivering last night. Is that what you said? Mom laughed. Laverne didn't think it was that funny. Not funny at all. Kim, thank Annie for coming, Laverne said, and after Kim did, I said, you're welcome, even though I knew the proper answer was, thank you for having me. Thank you for having me would have been a lie. When we got in the car, Mom didn't seem mad. She just asked me, did I tell Mrs. Schmidt anything else about the family? I couldn't figure out why I didn't get in trouble right there for lying, but I did with Kim. Laverne forbid Kim from playing with me, and she convinced Rita's and Lynn's and Mary Teresa's moms I was a bad seed. Once rumors like that start flying around about you, there's no getting yourself back. The girls continued to fight about who would sit next to me in assembly, but now it was a punishment. At school, I'd try to catch Kim's eye, wave, but she never waved back. I put notes into her desk, good notes, like, KS, cute coat. KS, you're a good artist. She wasn't. Whenever I'd put in a new note, the old one would still be there, sealed. I don't know if it was because I was too proud or a bad seed, or maybe she was afraid I'd written something really bad about her that she would discover in her heart was true. Thank you. Thank you for having me.